Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller, the podcast. I'm joined by Seth.
Hey, welcome, guys. Thanks for finding us on the internet.
Now, these shows originally aired on Brookings Radio, but now they're all here for your enjoyment. I hope you like it.
There you go. Sit back, enjoy the show, relax. Let us know if you want to see anything on future shows. As we said, this comes out live in the Brookings area, but enjoy this archive episode.
Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. This week, fall beers and later some new stuff from Odell Brewing Company as we talk to one of their representatives. It's the time of year that many beer aficionados cannot wait to see arrive. The fall seasonals are in full swing. We've already discussed Oktoberfest beers, but there's plenty more. From fresh hopped masterpieces to a boatload of pumpkin beers, cooler weather begins to bring big beers as well. Seth Cook from Wooden Legs Brewing of Brookings.
It seems as the weather gets colder and the days get shorter, the beers get darker, and the alcohol strength increases. So I just have seen a trend of that over many, many generations almost, that by the time the fall time hits, we're ready for stouts and porters, and of course the beers increase in fortitude as the nights grow colder. So you'll see imperial stouts and Baltic porters and a whole series of beers that are really made to warm me up, I suppose, as the day gets cold.
Those sentiments echoed by Brennan Sully Sullivan at Pints and Quarts in Brookings.
Once I get my fill of my Oktoberfest beers for the year, I usually start moving into some stouts, a lot of porters, the occasional pumpkin beer. As the days start getting shorter, the beers typically start getting darker.
A growing trend seems to be pumpkin beers. They've been around a long time, but now it seems everyone has at least one.
Pumpkin and yam beers have grown wildly popular. I mean, they're from all over. We made a pumpkin beer last year. Our home brewer that won this year made a pumpkin beer. It seems just about everybody has some type of pumpkin beer. But to be fair, though, it's pumpkin is not unique in beer. It seems this time of year they stick pumpkin in about everything. I've had pumpkin soup and pumpkin chips.
And the pumpkin beers have already been out for a while, as early as August in some cases, something that caught even Jimmy Fallon's eye.
Thank you. Pumpkin-flavored beer that's in stores way too early for being the adult equivalent of a back-to-school sale.
Now, when it comes to pumpkin beers, I tend to side with Sully.
Every brewery has gotten one, and some are great. Some are far less than great.
One of the pumpkin beers coming down on the really good side is also the Mike Tap Handle Beer of the Week at Pints and Quarts.
The one that I prefer most is the Rogue Pumpkin Patch Ale. They take all the regional reps, hand them all a machete, send them out in the field. They harvest all the pumpkins, cut them all up, run them through a pizza oven. That's what they use. Nothing artificial about it. It all comes from Rogue Farms, and we have a barrel-aged keg of the Pumpkin Patch Ale, and it's going to be our Mike Handle beer.
One thing to watch for, many of the pumpkin beers feature pumpkin spices and don't have any of the actual fruit in them, but some go all out, contain actual pumpkin. Both kinds can be tasty. More as Beer Untapped with Perry Miller continues.
Now we know how pumpkins grow. Pumpkins grow. Pumpkins grow.
Welcome back to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. This week, fall releases, and we'll talk Odell Brewing coming right up. Brookings Liquor Store has some tasty new brews for fall. Drew Eklund fills us in on a few of his favorites.
We have Boulevard Hibiscus Goes. It comes in 6-packs. Like the name suggests, there's a floral sweetness with a good amount of coriander spice. I really dig the coriander. It's a nice addition. And there's a nice underlying tartness throughout, crisp, dry finish.
Goes is traditionally sour with some salt. Does this have a salt element, or does the coriander take its place?
I didn't really taste a lot of salt. It says there's salt on the package, but I didn't really pick it up. From Castile, out of Belgium, they actually have 3 different offerings, the Cuvée du Chateau, the Rouge, and the Winter. I just picked the Cuvée because it looked like the most intriguing option. It has a whopping ABV of 11%. So, ooh. Yeah, spicy meatball. It's big, it's complex, it's hard to describe. It's sweet with dark fruit flavors. There's some dry maltiness going on, slight hoppiness, a lot more going on there. The next one is Guinness Blonde. It says American lager, but it's unlike any other American lager that I've had.
So what did you think of it?
It's really earthy. It's got kind of a grassy hop flavor to it. It's more bitter than I thought it would be, which is a plus to me.
To me, that's a good thing, yeah. So it sounds like a lager with some flavor.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Oh, when I'm lonely, I drink a fancy beer.
Fancy beer.
Oh, when I want you only, I drink a fancy beer.
Fancy beer.
2, 3, 4.
We now turn to a look at one of the craft beer pioneers and one of the first to enter South Dakota, Odell Brewing Company of Fort Collins, Colorado. Derek Struble is Odell Sales and Marketing Manager for South Dakota and Idaho. He says their fall beers are coming out.
Our special seasonal program, we got a 6-pack, a 4-pack, and what we call our Roots Release, all available on draft. So we got Isolation Ale, which we've been doing for over 10 years now. Our Double Black IPA, Mountain Standard, that's coming out. And then an Oatmeal Stout that we've been working on for years. It's finally coming out into the market in full production.
One of their major upcoming releases is a special 25th anniversary beer.
So we did a beer called 180 Shilling. Just basically doubled the malt bill and the hop bill and hung some oak staves in the bright tank and just a bigger version of 90 Shilling. And that comes out, so it'll start hitting eastern South Dakota here early October.
We will be seeing that.
Yeah, it's a nice beer. We, much like our other small releases, we'll get a handful of kegs and package out to those places, but really, really exciting package to do just because it celebrates our flagship, the start of the brewery.
Is that going to be bottled as well?
We'll do bottles, cork and cage, 750 milliliters, as well as limited draft.
The Oatmeal Stout that Derek mentioned is in their fall-winter seasonal pack. It's called Gramps.
A gentleman by the name of Brent Cordell has been brewing with us for well over a decade. He has family in Iowa, and for the last, probably 6 years, maybe more, he's been making an oatmeal stout every summer and drives out to Iowa. His grandpa really likes oatmeal stout, so he just was making it in the brewery, and that was the only place you could get it other than his grandpa's farm in Iowa. And so when we made this beer as part of our Roots release, and thinking of a name, Gramps Oatmeal Stout seemed to make sense.
That's it for this week's episode of Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Next week, an encore presentation of our IPA show. Until then, drink local and drink responsibly. Thank you for listening to this archived edition of Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Feel free to listen to other episodes, and if there's anything you'd like us to talk about on a future show, please let us know. Thanks again.